All right, so here's a little treat to all you Ford guys that follow me. That's right, we're talking about a 1963 F250. It is the Canadian edition. There's something a little special about this one though. If you look at the VIN tag, the original engine in this, so I've been told online here on Old Ford Trucks on Facebook, I'm part of that, go follow them up, they're awesome. Whole wealth of knowledge. This engine, or sorry, this truck started with a 235 inline six with a 4-speed in it. It had a 488 rear end in it. The last guy that owned this truck, I guess he blew it up or didn't like it or something or another. It got changed around pretty good. It's now running a Ford 9-inch car rear end. He's got 2 lug nuts holding it on because it's an 8-bolt rim on a 6-bolt axle. I have no idea why he even tried, but he did. As you can see, it's a unibody. Beautiful truck, actually. For being in Canada, this thing is like insanely nice. We're gonna need a new tailgate right away. What we're gonna do is we're actually gonna pull the unibody off of the current chassis, and we're gonna put it on a Interceptor, or we're gonna find a donor truck. We're not sure if it's gonna be 4x4 or 2-wheel drive yet. That is something we've got to come up with yet. Pretty straightforward, typical rust. There's not much of a floor left in this thing, and unfortunately it rusted all of the cab support all the way across. This is something we're going to be changing and fabricating, fixing it all up, getting it done right. The last guy that owned this truck also had to hack up the firewall for what he put in it, and it's a bloody mess, but my dad and I are pretty decent at the whole fabrication thing, so we're pretty confident that we can get her done. Steering column is actually going. We're gonna put, well, so far we're thinking we're gonna put a 1974. I've got a parts truck at a buddy's house. It's got the automatic steering column in it, and I think we're gonna do away with the standard transmission. I actually want a standard transmission, but my old man doesn't, and I guess he is kind of funding it, so I'll let him have his C6 transmission. But that's not what's in it right now. What's in it right now is an NP 435 transmission, 4-speed, and this atrocity. This is a Deutz diesel air-cooled engine. Do not ask me why he put it in. Don't ask me where he got it from. But this thing had been sitting in a field for 10 years. And when we picked it up, we literally pulled it 100 feet, popped the clutch, and it started. So the big plan with this thing is to pull the Deutz engine out. My little brother wants to build a power wagon, so we might put that in the old power wagon. Don't know how that's going to go yet, but we'll figure out a use for the air-cooled Deutz. What is going in here, by the sounds of it, is a Interceptor 4.6 or something like that. Something modern, something with EFI. Like I said before, we're not sure if we're lifting it or lowering it. I'm currently working on pulling the quarter panels off. I got one side off, I got one more bolt on the bottom here. By the way, that bolt holding in that corner tends to be a pain in the rear. There's a bolt there, there's a bolt there, and then there, and then a whole bunch across the front, just in case anybody actually wants to pull one off and doesn't know how. Lots of the newer model trucks will have body panel screws on the inside of the door. That's not the case with these ones. They're actually kind of nice. Like I said before, the floorboards are rotten right out of it, and took the cab mounts with it. So basically the reason I'm taking those quarter panels off is because my old man and I think that the entire truck up here is resting on those quarters, and if we start moving it around, we don't want to warp those quarters any more than they already are. So that we're pulling the quarters out. Once we get all that done, I'm not sure what we're going to do with it after. We might just pull the whole kit and caboodle right off the frame and find a donor frame for it so we can build ourselves a roller with a gasoline engine. Once we pull the cab up and off, I think the cab is going to sit in the corner in the shop here, and we'll do all the work on the firewall and paint her up nice and neat. And we'll probably paint and sound deaden the cab and the floorboards and the firewall, as well as the roof. The only thing, actually, we really lucked out with this thing. I'm surprised. For being in Manitoba, we use a lot of road salt. So like there's no rust on this thing whatsoever, especially for being driven in 2001 last. A little bit of a dent there. I got to figure out how to get out. I love this. This is cool. The only issue we have with this roof is one hole and a little bit of rust. So it's not a huge deal. You know, scrape her all down, and probably I mentioned lizard skin to my old man. I know it's expensive stuff, but I'm thinking it's probably going to be worth it. I'm going to relocate that fuel tank to the back, and the bed is ugly as hell. So depending on what we do, if we lift it, we're going to put smaller tubs in it. If we lower it, we might put bigger tubs in it. If it sits on the interceptor frame, we might even have that big channel across. I'm not sure. I have that 80-something motorcycle too. I'd love to be able to carry it around in the back of this thing. So I don't like the idea of doing the interceptor swap and having to put that bump in. That's the only thing that turns me off about that interceptor swap. But yeah, we're looking for a tailgate. If you happen to know where one is, comment, subscribe, you know, the whole drill. I'd imagine I'm probably going to start making build videos of this thing, just because it's downright cool in my opinion. Not often you see a Unibody 250, but here's one right here, especially because people would load them down. The whole reason the Unibodies are rare is because they are one piece. So they twist and they torsion and whatever else, and then they crack the metal between the cab and the they crack the metal in between the cab all the way down. And basically you can see it's starting to do this here. It's a bit of a crack starting here, and it'll go all the way down. Probably going to delete the holes all the way across and put a nice flat smooth surface all the way across both sides. Those little support struts, it's not going to be carrying anything other than like a motorcycle or something like that, so probably hack them out once I retub it and just completely finish the side. I think I mentioned it before, but I want to put a wood bed kit in it. That'd be awesome. Always looks good in an old truck. I did see a show truck. They kicked this out another ½ inch. It looks really mean. I might do that if I can figure out how to do it. I don't know if I'm keeping the drip rails yet. They kind of look cool, but I've never really seen one without and with, so I'm not sure which way I'm going to go yet. Gonna need a new windshield. These I'm going to fix and polish the snot out of. But yeah, our firewall needs work. And once we have the cab out, or the cab and the bed off, then I'll probably scrape all this down, figure out what it's hiding, because I think there's a whole air box for the for all the ducts inside there. Right now, I'm not the one that put this thing in here. I think this is ridiculous, but I don't know if you can see that. You can't really see that. All right, there we go. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you can, right there. There's a blower fan in there that literally sucks air, warm air from underneath the bonnet, underneath the hood in the engine bay. And he's got it rigged up that it blows air up and into the dash. Scared the hell out of me the first time I started it because I think that thing was on. And as soon as it started smoking, because it's a diesel, it started smoking under the hood like crazy. I think it's got an exhaust leak. It started pouring out of these fucking things like crazy. Scared the hell out of me. I didn't know what the hell was going on. But yeah. But like I said before, comment, subscribe, follow the build. If there's enough comments and subscriptions and likes and whatever else on this, I might actually go out, buy a cheap camera and set it up on a tripod and actually do a build video, like a time lapse. This is supposed to be a project that my old man and I are doing. And it's gonna take a little while, but she is gonna look good when we're done with her. All right, talk to y'all later.